Hello everybody, and welcome back to the Collector's Vault, where cardboard is king. My name is Mike, and if it looks like as if I'm struggling right now, it's because I am struggling. I have a wild animal in this box. It is the legendary murder hornets that everyone's hearing about, running across the United States. I was able to capture one of these things, and I'm here to show you guys how to stop them. The second this one settles down, I think we'll take a little look at it, just that way you guys know what you're dealing with. Okay, I think it's settled down. Aha. This one, it looks like it got tuckered out and now it's sleeping. But behold, the dreaded murder hornet. And so, I'm going to give you guys a couple of tips on how to protect yourself and stop these things before they endanger you or your friends and family. And so, with all that said, let's get started. Are they gone? Alright, good, they're gone. Alright, look, folks, I just had to get these people out of the room because here's some real serious talk right now. Let's actually talk about the Inzektor deck. Now, this is probably the first time I ever mentioned this on the channel, but Inzektors were probably, and probably still are to this day, one of my favorite decks of all time. And I'm sorry that I never really mentioned it if there are any Inzektor fans out there who, you know, were being deprived of any knowledge, but I do want to say that this is just a deck that I feel I should have been more excited when Dragonfly came off the ban list and went to 3. And it's funny because I was telling people for the longest time that Dragonfly was on the list way too long. I don't know why it was at 1 for so long. Even when it went to 2, I think it was probably like sometime last year it finally came out the ban list at 2. Now this is well into the Link era when Dragonfly just went to 2. And I think it was like either the following ban list or there were like 2 ban lists later it went to 3. And you bet your butt that I was testing it, and I learned something. You could either play the real spammy version of Inzektors that basically just abuses Dragonfly to go into crazy Link combos, kind of like what Spirals did, when Spirals were just like that super Link heavy-centric deck. And I realized I don't want to play Spiral. I don't want Inzektors to just do what Spiral does. And then I had to realize that it's probably because Inzektors, what they do now isn't good enough. And I hate coming to that realization that what they do is just not good enough. And I was trying to think to myself, like, can I define what Inzektors do? And me being the Inzektor nut that I am, I can always say, of course, the Inzektor deck was basically designed to have, you know, had to have an amazing one-card engine with Dragonfly, assuming you have your other piece, like a Hornet, available. So, somewhat, back in the old days, back in Order of Chaos, if you were able to get these 2 cards in your hand, you were just good to go. You would always have your little engine where you can consistently use Dragonfly's effect to equip the Hornet. Hornet will destroy something, so right there, that's just a free destruction card. Dragonfly will then get his other effect to give you another Inzektor, and that's when you go for what's probably arguably the best card in the deck, which is Centipede. I do believe if Centipede went to 1, it would have been a much different story. Even though three Dragonflies incredible, 1 Centipede would have been devastating. But you get your Centipede, do the exact same pop effect with Hornet, and then you get Centipede's effect to add yourself another copy of any Inzektor card, most likely, upside down, most likely Dragonfly. I mean, and it was, in the next turn, you can just do it all over again. It was, the best way I can describe it is, it was a deck that was designed to use Hornet and destroy the opponent's field. It was a deck that punished the opponent for playing cards. And this still holds true to this day. Hornet, in most cases, can still just completely destroy an entire field. Despite the fact that there are a lot of cards now that either can't be targeted by card effects, cards that can't be destroyed by card effects. But the thing is, you can still destroy other cards in the field that can be problematic, and you can do it one at a time with Hornet. So you can always destroy, if there's one card in the field that is protecting another card, you can just pop this one and then pop that one. It's still really good at destroying back rows too, so that way you can deal with the monsters with your own monsters. As in, after you're done using Hornet's effect to destroy spells and traps, you can then go into your extra deck. I mean, you know, again, the extra deck has changed greatly since Inzektors were first, real meta. Like, you just have a bunch of rank 3 access. But now with the Link, with access to Link monsters, you can do so much. And there's also, obviously, level modulation with cards like with Ladybug. So with Ladybug, this actually gave you access to a larger variety of your extra deck. The whole rank 4 toolbox, the rank 5 toolbox, which was heavily underutilized by most decks, but Inzektors could easily take advantage of that with cards like Volcasaurus, what was the one guy? Shark Fortress, who could really OTK easily. Like, you know, it was actually kind of cool that Inzektors had access to all these incredible extra deck monsters. Again, this is like years and years ago, so obviously a lot has changed since then. However, I do still feel that the Dragonfly Hornet combo of being able to just you gain advantage and your opponent lose advantage is still it's viable. And obviously that's not just for Inzektors, that's what many decks want to do now. You want to gain card advantage and make your opponent lose it. But since that's what Inzektors thrive upon, that's what that combo is based on, you might think, well then why is it that now that all the cards are off the ban list, I think it was just Dragonfly. No, it was Dragonfly and Hornet. Now that they are both at 3, in theory the deck is at full power, why is it that we don't see Inzektors doing anything? And obviously the answer is power creep. Like, I'm not going to act like this video is going to, like, you know, come to a huge realization. The answer is power creep. They have been power crept, and I've argued this for a long time. And this is why I kept saying that Dragonfly can come back to 3. It really does not matter that it doesn't matter having 3 Dragonfly. 3 Dragonfly just means, cool, I can do a Dragonfly combo, search another one, and then do it all again next turn. Because there's no way for you to really splash out Inzektors to the field. You only really swarm based on your normal summon. Now, if your 1 Dragonfly survives, and then you have a whole extra turn to use the Dragonfly that's already on the field, then you can really go crazy. But ideally, this is a deck that suffers from, again, just power creep, newer and better traps, spells, and hand traps that can disrupt them. And this comes down to my main argument, is that I'm trying to put the cards down. Inzektors basically lose to they lost already to many forms of like disruption. Effect Veiler was a very effective card. Fiend's Chain. I'm trying to think any card that would remove your cards from the field. Like even something as simple as a compulsory evacuation device could ruin an entire Inzektor combo. The problem is that even nowadays, not only are cards like Effect Veiler still very relevant, you also have to deal with cards like Infinite Impermanence. Oh yeah, and there was also Breakthrough Skill. But you know, technically, in the modern era, you have Effect Veiler, you have Infinite Impermanence, you even have cards like Ghost Ogre that can just completely ruin your combo. You summon Dragonfly and use his effect to equip a Hornet, and they Ghost Ogre you. I'm sorry, your turn's done. Now there are ways to obviously counter this. People can always make the argument, well, to stop Infinite Impermanence, you can use a card like Forbidden Lance. And Inzektors did use a card like that back in the old days when you had to worry about cards like Fiend's Chain and Breakthrough Skill. But ideally, you also have to worry about all the other hand traps that, yes, can be countered by cards like Call by the Grave. And believe me, Call by the Grave is like a no-brainer in Inzektors, because you have to make your Hornet successfully get equipped to your Dragonfly. You need your Dragonfly to not die, otherwise your turn's somewhat wasted. Now, I do believe that there is a potential for like hybrid decks of Inzektors. Like I've seen people try Inzektors with Metal Foes, because it was a great way to help just destroy cards equipped to your Inzektors and trigger all their effects. Then the Metal Foes would just do all of their searching, and it gave you access to a Pendulum Summon, which is kind of interesting. So that was kind of fun. I tried it out years ago, and then I ended up just not liking it. There was also a deck I did try once, and actually, funny enough, it actually did kind of work. It was Ninja Inzektors, which would just take advantage of a card like Grandmaster Hanzo, especially back when Rhoda was a 3. Because then Hanzo would give you any Inzektor you wanted, because he would search you the ninjutsu trap card that can turn your guy into an insect. Now, it's not as good as it's not as good as the Super Transformation, which could take an opponent's monster. But like, regardless, it was kind of like a way to tutor out your Inzektor monsters, like primarily Dragonfly. But again, very, very niche and gimmicky, and not really exactly what the deck wants to do. And then there was obviously just other kind of combo decks I was trying to work out with all the other insect support. We got some insect support with the Legacy. Actually, I think I have some. We actually got some support with, I think it was the Legendary Duelist deck 2. I forget what it was called. But basically, it gave us access to... I actually sold these when they got expensive, but it was the Ultra Cocoon of Evolution and some of these Weevil like insect cards, especially this guy's kind of interesting. So I thought, okay, use some of these new insect support cards, and it actually was kind of interesting. It was kind of cool to be able to like remove cards from the field and summon out your big the big insect queen, like, guy that could protect your other insects, or you can get out Dragonfly. Like, there's really cool ways around it. There's really cool ways to utilize this. But, like I said, in the end, I think it comes down to what Inzektors do. Inzektors know what they want to do, but again, it's just, this is just one of those times where I have to realize that Inzektors, the main guys, and I guess I'm not really including the Gigamantis, he's obviously a real important key piece in this, but Inzektors just aren't good enough anymore. Unless they get newer cards, what they have right now is just not good enough. And that kind of comes to this conclusion that I made. What I want is for Inzektors to maybe just get new cards. Whether it be, I'm just brainstorming here. Give them a field spell that can give them searchability and maybe protection. Like if it's an actual field spell. And yes, I know terraforming isn't one, but just the point is, give them a field spell that technically could be searchable by Centipede if it's an Inzektor field spell, and make the field spell say that your Inzektors can't be targeted by card effects, like during your turn. Just even something as simple as that, and it could even maybe have an effect to like discard an insect to add an insect. I mean, again, that might be too fair of an effect, but what I'm saying, because that way it can literally just dump a Hornet, add a Dragonfly, or dump a Ladybug, add a Dragonfly. You're normally going to be searching Dragonfly. Dragonfly is the main key piece. And finally, and next, I do want us to get some actual new Inzektor monsters. And now there are there are three kinds of monsters. There's the Inzektors that want to have things equipped to them. And right now, all we have is Centipede and Dragonfly. And they came out in the very first set, Order of Chaos, where we were introduced to Inzektors. And obviously, their effects are great. Searching and summoning. That's pretty good. But I do feel that we need a bit more. They need more options. They need more access to cards. Because let's say you want to be able to draw your Inzektor monsters that actually just get effects. If you draw 2 Hornets, yes, you can still use the 1 Hornet to destroy a card, but you don't get any benefit from it. Because if every Inzektor had an effect that, let's say every Inzektor had an effect while it was equipped, and if it lost an equipped card, then we'd be talking a whole different story here. Because then you would have so much more consistency. Every card would do something. It'd be kind of like what Necroz did for Ritual decks. Because every Necroz card did something, even in the hand. So it kind of just gave you that consistency of always being able to do something, and you wouldn't brick as easily. And in Inzektors, if I draw too many Centipedes, I'm gonna it can happen. You can draw too many Dragonfly and too many Centipedes, and guess what? This is not gonna do anything for you, because it's kind of like a puzzle, and you have the wrong puzzle pieces. So if we're gonna get some Duelist other cards, not only do I want them to have maybe some protection or like a field spell for searching. I mean, heck, even give us a normal spell card that could do something. Even if it's like an equip spell that could do something. Because I know Inzektors do have equip spells. Maybe give them an equip spell that says equip to an Inzektor and destroy stuff to add something. I don't know. Give us right now. That's kind of what the deck needs. It needs that kind of like power spike. But more ideally, what I want is kind of a whole new version of Inzektors. Not just newer monsters and newer spells and traps. I want a whole new take on the deck. Kind of like what I was saying. How right now Inzektors. I mentioned so Inzektors have monsters that want to be equipped to things, and that way they can send themselves to the graveyard, or they can, when they leave the field, they do something. Hornet and Ladybug are good examples. Inzektors that want to have their equipped cards sent to the graveyard, Dragonfly and Centipede. And then you also have the big Giga monsters, like Mantis, Weevil, and Cricket, that get effects when they are sent to the graveyard, but their effects are usually really powerful, like summoning effects. I mean, and also they can also equip themselves onto other Inzektor monsters. So there's never there's always a chance for these cards to get onto the field and make plays, and that's why those effects are only once per turn, they're Monster Reborn like effects because of how powerful they are. But I think Inzektors need a whole new retrain. Give us Neo Inzektors. I'm calling it now. Neo Inzektors, and it could be like where every single monster has an effect to equip another Inzektor to it, an effect that says when it loses an equip card, it does something. I don't know what that could be, but just give us that kind of consistency. And they also have to have an effect that while they are equipped to a monster, if they are sent to the graveyard, or they can send themselves to the graveyard, like Ladybug and Hornet, they can do something. Bounce a card in the field, target a card in the field, and target a card in the graveyard and banish it. Target a card in your graveyard, add to your hand. I don't know, do something. They all have to do something, because there are plenty of bad Inzektors out there that really just don't do much. Earwig, Lightning or Firefly, even Inzektor Ant. I mean, Ant was like okay when the deck first came out, but you didn't need it. But you didn't need it because you had Hornet. Hornet did everything. And even to this day, Hornet and Ladybug are really all you need as, like, you know, but the fact is that even though they fulfill that like that slot for the Inzektors to trigger your other effects, send themselves to the graveyard, again, it's not good enough. And there's a lot of very devastating cards in the game right now. There's Call by the Grave, there's the Call by the Grave, the DD Crows of the world, so many banishing effects, and that was the worst part. When Hornet was a 1 and year 1 Hornet got banished, it was like game over. Like that, and that's why I said Hornet could have came to 3 a long time ago because of all the ways you can get rid of them. And even when Hornet went to 3, it wasn't good enough. Because yes, although you would survive that DD Crow play sometimes because I have my second Hornet in my hand. It didn't matter because then sometimes you would just get steamrolled. There was no recovery. The Inzektors Swords Excalibur was a good way to recover cards from the graveyard to the hand, but at the same time, it just didn't always work because it only worked if it went to the graveyard, and they definitely need more recurability. Maybe spells and traps that can banish themselves from the graveyard to do things. Imagine a spell because right now every like good deck has spells and traps that have secondary effects in the graveyard. Look at Eldritch. Do you know why the deck's so good? Because the spells and traps do stuff as well as banish themselves from the graveyard to get more resources. It's amazing recursion, and that is one mechanic that Inzektors do not have, and I think it's obviously a benefit that they could use. I mean, most decks could, but at this point, I'm just trying to brainstorm ways that Inzektors could, maybe become relevant again. Because I would love to see it. It's one of my favorite decks of all time, despite the fact that I hate bugs. I just think that their mechanic was so cool. It was powerful at the time. Like, it was probably like the most powerful. It was probably like the best deck I ever made when that deck came out. And I've also played the deck, well after the ban list hits. I was taking Inzektors to regionals and to YCSs. I was doing fairly well with them as well. Like, I loved it whenever I was up at the top tables with Inzektors. People were just saying, like, whoa, Inzektors? Now? Like, I think in Primal Origin format, I was having the time of my life with Inzektors because we got cards like Mathematician. I think I was even playing, like, the Artifact Engine just to help, like, stun the opponent, and then you just wreck them with Inzektors. It was great. But again, unfortunately, I just don't think it's good enough right now. I would love to see Konami make in the next upcoming sets, because again, there's no new mechanic. They're kind of just going to be, there's no new summon mechanics. So maybe they're just going to do some retrains, bring back some old archetypes. I mean, if that be the case, I would love to see a new version of Inzektors. I would love to see like a whole new mechanic for the deck itself. I would love to see just give the deck a power bump. Give it a power. Let the deck power creep the old Inzektors. And as sad as it is, I can accept the fact that if Hornet and Ladybug, well, maybe not Hornet and Ladybug, but like if some of the older Inzektors that we used to love and play all the time become power crept, and the newer ones are just better, so be it. At this point, I just want to play Inzektors. So I hope I didn't ramble on too much about my favorite bug deck, but yeah, if there are any other Inzektor fans out there, let me know in the comments below. Maybe I'll even do some Inzektor combo videos, because again, they can combo off, but I was trying not to focus on link summoning. Because to me, that's just what spirals do. I'd rather just make a deck that kind of like, I would love to play old school Inzektors in modern day Yu-Gi-Oh, but I just don't think it's gonna happen. But it's still fun to think about. So yeah, if you guys like Inzektors, let me know down below, and maybe there'll be some more Inzektor videos in the future. So until then, guys, thanks again for watching. So take it easy.